Hey guys, this is Kirti and you're watching 7th episode of Eat, Live, Laugh, KuKClean FB live show. And today we are going to discuss about millets. Today's show is sponsored by Pure Mart. So they are selling premium quality dry fruits, seeds and nuts. So do go and check out their website, their Facebook page as Pure Mart India. And yeah, anyway, seeds and nuts are healthy, so I just thought to include that. So today's show is being sponsored by Pure Mart, and we are going to talk about millets today. So any one question would get a gift voucher from Pure Mart worth 500 rupees. So yes, keep asking your questions. I will pick one question and that person is going to get a gift voucher from Pure Mart. So now let's go get talking about millets. So yes, I have beautifully included these millets in my diet, and the reason I'm going to talk about that today. So number one, millets are seeds. They are basically grass seeds which can grow in a drought area or a rain-fed area. That means it needs very, very little water to grow. It takes almost 50 to 60 days to get harvested, so it's farmer friendly. It can grow in a dry area also, and that's the reason that compared to wheat and rice, it is much better for our land because it doesn't need so much of fertilizer, so much of pesticides. It's basically a tough and hard grain, and the same properties makes it very, very nutritious. It's high in fiber. It's a gluten free grain, or it's a gluten-free seeds, and that's the reason that we should be including millets in our diet. So yeah, a lot of people have asked me questions which I'll be answering, but before that, let me show you what millets I have in my kitchen right now. So this is basically called as Kodu millet. You can see how the color is. Let me just bring it close to the camera, and yes, this is Kodu millet. And then I have this one is little pale yellow in color, and this is called as Proso millet. Basically, the whole idea of it is that I have a variety of millets, one to three variety of millets in my kitchen, which I use them over a month, and then I buy another variety. So every time I will have 3 to 4 varieties of millets in my kitchen, and you can give a try like that. And this is basically jowar or sorghum atta, which I make roti or just make little like pancake sort of thing. So yeah, these are the millets which are in my house. I also have ragi, which is constantly in my house. These ragi seeds, I use it for making ragi laddu, ragi porridge, and of course the ragi dosa batter. So the idea about eating millets is that include them and in a variety of dishes. Like one dish you can make khichdi, sometimes you can make laddu, and use these variety of millets because each millet has a different quality. Some of them, almost all of them, are rich in minerals. They are very, very rich in dietary fiber. Compared to your wheat and rice, they have more fiber. And we all know that fiber is good for gut. It is good for diabetic people. It is good for improving the gut health, lowering the blood sugar, and of course weight loss. So that's the reason that people switch to millet diet when they are on a weight loss journey. So that is one of the reasons that why we should be eating millets, because it's rich in fiber. Then there are, like I told you, few varieties of millets. Basically, we have 9 varieties of millets which are very popular, and you can keep making a switch and keep enjoying one or the other. And yeah, so today I have made, this is basically my proso millet, and someone asked me that teach me how to make. As you can see, each and every grain of this millet is really coming out well. It all depends on basically how you are cooking it. The rule number one, any grain for that matter, which is whole, should be soaked. Minimum 1 to 2 hours. If you can soak it overnight, very good. So I do soak all my grains and millets and dals and pulses. So this one, now this is almost 1 cup of millet, which actually the raw millet which I used was just 2 tablespoons, and I added 8 tablespoon of water, and this is what I got. This is almost 1 cup of millet. So you can see that, such a small quantity of millet expands so much that it is sufficient for one person. Also, when it goes inside your body, it will fill you nicely, and because it's rich in fiber. So that's the reason that we eat millet in small quantity, because it expands. And so this is one of the millets which I make, and that is the ratio. When you are making, like when you want fluffy millet, 1, you soak it nicely, and 2, you will put a quantity of water in this ratio, like 2 tablespoons of millets is what I put, and then I added 8 tablespoons of water, and that's it. So with every millet, the water ratio is different, so you will have to experiment. This was proso millet with which I experimented, and this is the recipe I'm sharing. Then another millet which I use, like I told that I'm using, this one is kodu millet. So I made this nice kheer with kodu millet, which is Indian pudding basically. Now I'll share the recipe of making this one. Again, you can see this is basically 2 cups of millet, cooked millet, whereas I just used 2 tablespoons of millets. Okay, so again 2 tablespoons of millet, because millets expand. They are very, very rich in fiber, and fiber has a tendency to expand. So when you are putting water, it starts expanding. So this 2 tablespoons of millet can be made into 2 cups of kheer, which I made today. And basically I added 2 cups of water in that. Slowly cooked it for almost 30 minutes. Added my soaked almond into that. Let me show you again. So in this, I have added soaked almond, 2 tablespoons of jaggery, and little bit of black raisin and few cashews which I got from Pure Mart. So this is my recipe for the kheer. So basically you can make lots and lots of recipes. You can completely replace your wheat and rice with the millet. You can basically, if you try this, either of these kodu millet or proso millet or little samai, any of these millets, you can completely replace it with rice, because the taste and the texture is just like rice. Whereas for sorghum or ragi, sorghum and ragi is what I use for making rotis. So you can actually completely replace it. I do not mix 2 types of millet to make one dish, because for a simple reason, their cooking time is different. The way they get cooked in water is little different. So I don't want to mess up my recipe. That's the reason I will always use them separately. And switching completely to a millet diet is again a good idea. The fact is that before 1970s, before the Green Revolution in India, millets were the staple food of India, and they have been found back in 7,000 years ago also, because in Indus Valley civilization millets residues have been found. So that means it is that old. It's one of the traditional grains, but unfortunately it lost its value in these 30 years, but now they are making a comeback again. The government is promoting it, it's promoting nicely, because we have realized that there is not enough water to feed the fields of wheat and rice. So that's why now they are making a comeback, and it's a good comeback. You can give a shot. start making different type of recipes, and then you can utilize. So I have got a question on no plant milk in the kheer. I actually, if you don't put any plant-based milk in this kheer, then also it turns out beautifully. It is tasty. What I did, just to enhance the color, I added 1/4 cup of coconut milk. Coconut milk is something which I will use extensively in my kitchen, and it's something which I extract almost every alternate day. So that's how I just added 1/4 cup of coconut milk. If you don't want to use, it's absolutely fine, because end of the day, all these grains, all these millets can be actually converted into plant-based milk. If you boil it really well, it can, and squeeze it out, a milk from this millet can also come out. So that's the reason it gives nice color, and you really don't have to add any plant-based milk. But if you want to add, like I added today, 1/4 cup of coconut milk. So yeah, so this is, this is about millet. What else? So now let me talk about nutrition of millet. Number one, as I told, it is very, very rich in fiber as compared to your wheat and rice. It's really rich. So we should be including it in our diet. And you can try variety of recipes. Number two, it's very, very rich in calcium. When we compare the calcium, like when we are worried about calcium and we want to give we only believe that dairy or the milk has calcium, then the answer is no. There is calcium which you can get from ragi. In fact, ragi has more calcium as compared to milk. Then in terms of iron, magnesium, potassium, phosphorus, all these millets have more value as compared to rest of the grains. Also, a lot of people ask me about protein, that a vegan diet does not have protein. So let me just share that millets are really rich in protein, especially kodu millet and proso millet, which I showed you just now, because they have almost close to, protein level close to quinoa. So we eat, if you're buying quinoa from outside, which is quite expensive in India, you can give a shot to millets which are grown here in India, and they are less expensive. So you can give a try with that. So I'm okay. I have got one more question. Rekha says it looks very tempting. Thank you. Give a shot and give a try to including millets in your diet. And yeah, so basically this is all about millet. And let me just find if you have more questions related to that. One more, lot of people ask about what about diabetes and millets. So people who are diabetic, they can absolutely switch to millets diet, because number one, there is a very, very scientific reason. When somebody has diabetic, the biggest challenge is moment you eat any meal, the blood sugar spikes. Now, to maintain that level, if we are eating something like millet, which has high fiber, the process of releasing, which is a complex carb. Now, this complex carb, basically fiber is a complex carb. When that is released in, when that is digested and the glucose is released in our blood, it is a very, very slow process. So that spiking up does not happen. And that's the reason that people who have diabetic, they are being suggested to go on a millets diet. So if somebody is diabetic, do give a try to this millets diet. Okay. Now, can you please show us the consistency of kheer? Okay. So it's just like how you make your dairy kheer. The consistency, as you can see, this is like I have made it nice and thick. If you want, you can add more water or more of plant-based milk. And yeah, I have added the black raisins and I have added cashew just to garnish. And there are soaked almonds which I added while making it. So this is a very simple recipe as you have been making your dairy kheer exactly the same way. Only difference is I boil the millet nicely for around 30 minutes and I will put my coconut milk because it's a plant-based milk and it's a nut milk, not we are getting from cashew nut or almond. So usually I will put the coconut milk in the end, otherwise it curdles and it starts breaking. So that is the one thing which you can keep in mind. So yeah, so this is, now that is related, coming back to my diabetes and millets. People who are on millet diet, they can, people who have diabetes, they can easily eat millets, and that can become your lifestyle. So so one more question, can we give to kids also? In India, especially in Karnataka, the first meal which is given to a kid during their annaprashan, or the first meal, is basically ragi porridge or ragi kheer. So ragi is a kind of millet, and it's absolutely safe to give because, as I said, millets were our staple food. A few years back, we just lost the value, and wheat and rice took the main stage, but now they are making a comeback. So yes, you can give millets to the kids in different forms. Maybe make a malt from that, or a milk mix which you can give, and then mix it with coconut milk and give it. Or you can make khichdi, you can make laddus, and that's how you can give it to the kids. And absolutely there is no problem. You can give, in fact, every day. If you give one different kind of millet, it is a good idea because you are then getting a different nutrient, because each millet has something or the other. So how do you cook millet? Okay, so how do I cook millet? I cook millet in open vessel. Both of them have been cooked, especially this one. If you want really fluffy and out, you just need to see it that it's coming out nicely well. So once I'll put the millet, put the water and let it boil. Moment it starts soaking up little water, just cover the lid, and once the water is soaked completely or it's dried up, just cover the lid and leave it for 10 to 15 minutes. It comes out like this, and this can be used for making your poha, for making your grainy pulao. So it really comes out very, very tasty. And when you're making things like kheer, you have to increase the quantity. So the quantity was like 4 cups of water versus 1 cup of millet. Whereas in kheer, you have to increase little bit more quantity. Few millets are hard to digest. Okay, now there is the digestion problem. Please do not blame millets that they are hard to digest. There is a reason why they are hard to digest. The reason is fiber. If you eat fiberful food, you need lot of water. That's the reason that we need to soak the millet before cooking. And even while cooking, we should be adding enough water so that it's nicely cooked. Now, for people whose gut flora is almost dead because of the cooked food, or because of eating junk food, or because of eating the simple grains like white rice and white flour, it becomes very, very difficult for them to digest any fiberful food. And that's the reason, and millets are high in fiber. So that's the reason people find it very hard to digest initially. So what you have to do is 2 things. Number 1, while you are cooking it, you have to soak it in water. You have to add in little bit extra water. And second, when you are eating it that day, start consuming little extra water, because the fiber needs that swelling up. And if you don't do that, you will feel undigested and you will feel bloated. So that's the reason that you feel that it's hard to digest. Once your body starts becoming used to it, it becomes very easy. So one more question. Yeah. So, okay. So I hope this answers all your questions. And if you have more questions, you can put it on this chat and I'll be answering it offline. And yeah, so I hope that this was an informative session for all of you. You will be using more and more millets in your diet. Feel free to use them. Do not be scared. These were our staple food and they are making a comeback. So we forgot about them, some for almost 30 years. So basically our generation was not introduced to millet, but now if we start introducing it to our kids, they will not find it hard to digest, or they will not find it difficult to replace it with rice. And of course it's much more nutritious than the white rice or the white flour which we eat almost every day. So with that note, signing off, and I'll be picking up one question. So that lucky person would get a gift voucher from Pure Mart worth 500 rupees. And again, if you like this show, do spread the message about it. Ask people to join KuKClean Facebook group. I do counseling and help people to move in this lifestyle journey. So if you are interested, you can join KuKClean Lifestyle Change Management Program, where I help people to walk on this journey, help them to understand the concept. That is very important. In KuKClean, we don't believe in giving diet plans. We believe in changing the whole lifestyle, which is basically the mix of the food that you eat, the movement or the exercise that you do, the mind and the emotions that work on you. So it's a balance of everything. So so you have to mix up everything, and then only you can move a healthy lifestyle. Just focusing on one thing would not create much difference. So you have to work on all the aspects. Okay, I got few more questions which I'll be taking. Does ragi flour need roasting before making laddu? Yes, I do roast it just to get that nice flavor. I do roast it till the rawness of that ragi flour doesn't go. So I do roast it, and then I add my peanut butter, and then I add all the dry fruits and make laddus. Okay, can you talk about millet flour? Which flour are good for which recipe? Also roti recipe. Okay. So my two favorite flours, number one is ragi flour, which I will be using for ragi laddu, then for making ragi roti, and then for making ragi porridge. So ragi porridge is a very, very simple kind of porridge in which you will boil. You have to really, again, all the millets have to be boiled nicely, soaked nicely, boiled or cooked nicely, because they are rich in fiber. So otherwise they will be hard to digest. So soak it nicely. Boil it for almost 30 minutes on a very, very slow flame, like the slowest flame. And then you will, add, if you want to add, you can add little bit of jaggery. You can add all the dry fruits, and you add little bit of coconut milk. So that gives a nice ragi porridge. Then another flour which I use is this sorghum, which is basically jowar flour, and that can also be made into roti. And there's a way to make it. The simplest way to make roti is basically you will take half cup of this and half cup of water and half cup of atta and water. Boil the water, add in this flour and mix it, and then leave it. And then you make a dough, and you can make the roti from that. So it's different from how we make the wheat roti. And all the recipes are basically on KuKClean Facebook group. People are making lot of jowar roti and ragi roti, so you can check there. Okay, so one more question. Millets increase the body heat. Is it true? Now see, body heat is again for various reasons. If you're not able to digest any food, that will also cause problems. So if you're cooking it in this way, the proper way, it would not impact you. So you have to very, very cautiously, you have to cook millets. They should be cooked properly. Uncooked flour would not help. Uncooked millet would not help, and it will create problems for you. So yeah, with that note, like it's 9:30 now. I was expecting the show to be 9:15 because I just want to make it 15-minute show, but there were a lot of good questions. So thank you for them. And after the show, I'm going to eat Kheer, and I hope you guys also enjoy, and you will make, if you make this Kheer, do post it in KuKClean Facebook group, and I'll be more than happy to see that, after my sessions, what is the impact. Keep walking on the journey of eating healthy food one step at a time. You will not, this is a project. We will take one step at a time. In my previous shows, I have talked about meal planning, snacking, craving, and all those aspects. Now I will slowly take about each kind of food, explain each food, so you can let me know what else do you want to know, and I will be conducting these sessions every Thursday. So with that, see you guys, and keep putting your questions. I will answer them offline. Thank you very much.